Halloween is like a weekend and a half. I can't even believe it. I keep looking at the calendar like it's coming so fast. I'm not ready. I don't even know what I'm gonna be. We have class that day. Yeah. I usually just do some like weird Tom Brady hybrid thing of like wearing all of my jerseys and shirts and mix of like Patriots and Buccaneers things. But my kids are like, are you gonna, last year I was an inflatable dinosaur. And I was gonna wear that, but I can't imagine teaching in an inflatable dinosaur costume. Like you wouldn't be able to hear me. I wouldn't be able to see you. I'd run into walls. I tried to trick or treat with them in it last year and I ran into so many things. You can't see anything in those costumes, but they're hilarious, right? So I have to figure out something. I hope we have class on Halloween, so I hope you'll be here. And I'll bring candy and everything. Feel free to dress up or whatever you might do. I'll dress up for sure. I mean, if we're gonna have class that day, I'm not gonna not at least dress up in something. I haven't figured out what yet, but something. Did you wear that Steelers shirt just to rub it in today that they lost to the Steelers? I don't know how they lost to that team. Brady's been off getting a divorce, so that's throwing him off, right? They're throwing him off. But yeah, so I hope you're here on Halloween. Like I said, I'll bring lots of candy or something fun, right? And what are we covering that day? Birth control. Nice. It's good Halloween topic. I don't know. I would have said that about anything. I guess pregnancy or birth control, either of those that works for Halloween. And I want to talk a little bit about our kind of upcoming days and schedule, but I'm going to wait a little bit just so that in case we have some people come in, I don't have to cover it again. So we'll go back and we'll pick up where we left off, right? And so we talked a little bit last time about what love is, kind of different types of love. So we talked about romantic and companionate love, passion, intimacy, and commitment with Sternberg's theories. And then we left off here. And I have a little kind of love inventory that I want to give you. And I think it's kind of a fun thing to take. And so I'm going to pass this out, but don't start yet because I want to give you some instructions and it'll kind of shape the way that you take this and the way that you score it. So this is directly related to this. And I kind of put this together myself because there isn't an actual inventory on this, but I think it works out really well. So 6 different types. And that's what this little love quiz is. So again, don't start it quite yet. Let me do just a little more information. And then when we finish chapter 7, here we'll talk about the movie and I'll collect that summary. Yeah. Here you go. All right, everyone get one? So you're not turning this into me. Okay, so feel free to be honest. Yeah. Yours fell apart. Here, I'll give you another one. Right, okay. So when you're taking this quiz, right? So again, you're not turning this in, so please feel free to be honest. You have to make a choice right off the bat. Here, wait, let me give you pop quiz. No, I'm just kidding. It's a lot of that'd be so mean. All right. So when you're taking this quiz, you have to make a decision. Okay, so when you're answering these and reading these, you can think about how you tend to be in general. You can think about a specific relationship that you're in right now, or you could think about like your ideal. But if you don't pick one of those, you'll kind of be all over the place. So if you're in a relationship right now, maybe think about your relationship now. If you're not in one, you could think about a past relationship. You could think about what you would prefer if you could have whatever, or you could think about in general, but you kind of have to pick one in order to be the most successful. So in your mind, just commit to one of those things. And then you're going to read each one of these statements and you're going to read it 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, right? It's from strongly agree to strongly disagree. So I'll give you a little bit of time. And then at the bottom of each section, you want to add up and get your score. Okay, so add up all of your Eros scores to get a total, your Ludos scores to get a total. And so I'll give you a little bit, this will take you a few minutes, but pick one of those stances and go. And again, at the bottom of each section, make sure you add up all of your scores to get a total for that section.
Like, it's like, wait, is it different now, or is it just like-
I put it together, but it is based off of other things. So, yeah. So he had it informally on his website, and I just put it in a way that he could think about it in a way. But yeah, so it's based off of like religion. And I have some extras too, as a side note, if you want to take one later and give it to like a partner or whatever, like, if you find it interesting, I have some extras if you want one. Oh, this was. Give you a few more minutes. Looks like a lot of you are still going. And feel free to use your calculator or phone, whatever you need to add them up if you need to. Hold the fun. Or a smarter, more mathematically inclined neighbor, either way. You're still working, so maybe another minute or two, and then we'll talk about it, what it means, and kind of go over the world. How many of you, just by showing, does anyone need more time? Most of you listen, okay, so just like another minute. And again, make sure you have a total score for each section, and how you tell which is which here. All right, so let's talk about it together. And if you're still working on it, that's fine. Keep working on it. So basically, the way that the scoring works is the higher your score, the more like you that type of love is. Right. So if you're looking at your scores and you have one that's like clearly higher than the rest of them, that's your. Okay. You have 231, right? They're all almost the same. So mine are mania, agape, and eros. So I'm passionate, possessive, and selfless. I don't know if that's good or not. It's worked for 19 years, so we'll see. But if you have multiple types that are high, that means that you have multiple love styles, right? Multiple colors of love. Now, it might be that you have a bunch of them that are kind of in a similar range. Obviously, if your score is super low, then that type is not you at all. Like my Ludo's score is 8, right? Like it could only be 1 point lower, right? So like that is obviously not a type of style that I am, right? So how many of you have like one clear style that show up hands? Anyone have like one dominant range? Okay. How many of you have like 2 or 3 that are pretty close? A lot of you. So I mean, obviously this is really informal, but any comments? Does it match what you would think? Does it not match? What do you, yeah, your nodding is pretty similar to what you would expect. Anyone else? Fit you, not fit you? Any thoughts? Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, when did you meet your partner?
Oh, so we met, oh, you could sidetrack me on this one easily. That and football, right? Or food. We met in college, so 20 years ago. And next year will be 20 years for us. So 20 years married. I think we're gonna get married again next year, like a great commitment thing, because our kids weren't part of the old one.
Right.
And I didn't get to eat the cakes at my wedding. Do you have any idea how often it happened? I don't know what happened. So like during the wedding, like I got the cake smashed in my face. So I got like a lot of it. But then they packaged them up for us to take home. We were just so busy. We didn't have a chance to eat it. And they packaged it up to take it home and somebody left it. And I never got the cake from my wedding. Like it's like the most insulting thing I can imagine for me to not get the wedding. So next year, if we do it, I'm gonna have like a million cakes. I'm just gonna eat nothing but cake to make sure I get it. But yeah, we met in college like 20 years ago. She put up with me for a long time. Or vice versa. I didn't say it. I was gonna ask you a question, then I forgot this. How many of you, out of curiosity, would be interested in giving this to a partner of yours? Or a friend or whatever, right? Okay, so I want to give you a little warning. Okay. If you're you look nervous. if you're giving this to somebody else, you have to be open to how they answer it. Okay, this led to a fight once. I've been teaching this class for like 20 years, right? Like 15 years. And in all of the years, only once, but I had a person, I had a student, gosh, like 12 years ago at this point, give it to her boyfriend. And she was completely insulted by his reactions. And it led to a massive fight between the two of them, and it broke up. So I just, every time I like offer it, that's in the back of my mind. So just, if you give this to a partner, just make sure that you're open to how they answer it. And you could also preface it the same way that I did with you, that you could think of your relationship now, or you could think of your ideal, or just in general. But just keep that in the back of your mind. Anytime that you give someone an inventory, are you looking for something specific, or do you want the truth, right? Do you want the Christmas answer or the real answer, right? I'm jokingly. So just something to keep in mind. But according to Lee, we might have like a dominant style or two, right? And generally, we tend to do better when we're with people who are similar. They don't have to be the same, right? But if you have somebody who's like a game playing kind of lover, right? Like a Ludos kind of game player, and then you have someone who's more of like a practical lover, they're going to run into issues, right? Because one is going to be playing games and the other just wants things to be consistent and be very like practical in nature. You have somebody who is really like kind of manic in the way that they love versus somebody who's more like Storge, the calm, quiet lover. Again, they might run into issues. Not always, right? Sometimes people have complementary love styles, but when you're really, really different from a partner, that can sometimes cause problems. I mean, not that you can't overcome them, but it can sometimes lead to issues. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. I will leave these up here at the end, and you're welcome to take as many of them as you would like. And if you do, I'll ask you next time if I remember. I'll be curious to hear if any of you gave it to somebody and how that went. If you fought, don't blame me. Okay, just don't blame me. But any other comments about this? Any other comments at all before we move on? It's interesting to me because I've had the same sheet. I've kept this same one for a lot of years, and my score keeps changing. And I just keep thinking it's still about my partner, that we've been together a long time. But in the beginning of our relationship, like some of these scores were higher and some were lower. And as we've been together longer and longer, some of them are kind of flopped. Like some of the more like manic, like crazy style of like love has mellowed a little bit, and some of the more like selflessness has gone up. So it's interesting too how relationships can evolve, and maybe certain partners bring out certain aspects of you, right? Different people, you might be a little bit different in your love style with different partners. Yeah.
And I like was looking at some of them and I was like, maybe like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of cool because like some of them were like communication type things.
Yeah. Yeah, you evolve over time, right? And so sometimes in the beginning, these are a little more like mania, like based, a little more like crazy or eros, more romantic. And then they kind of level off a little bit, or maybe you learn to adapt to each other. My partner and I, we've been together a long time, like I said, but we used to fight really badly.
Yeah.
Like it took us a lot of time to learn to communicate with each other. I have a bad habit, just like stereotypically male attribute of saying, just saying stuff without thinking about it, right? Like you, I mean, I do it in here, right? Like I just share random things with you, right? Like that's just who I am as a person. And my partner is a very like, you say what you mean kind of person, right? And so I've got myself into a lot of trouble with that over the years. And after a lot of time together, she's learned to be like, I'm going to give you a second to think about what you just said. And if you really meant that, right? Like she'll give me a second chance, which I appreciate. And I've gotten better at taking a second to think about things before I say them. And so oftentimes over time, you might kind of merge your love styles a little bit. You rub off on each other, right? And they might end up meeting a little bit more in the middle. And as a side note, on Monday, we ended up going to McDonald's for dinner. We let the children pick. My partner's like, where do you want to go to dinner? I'm like, let's let the kids pick. Sounds good. I'm like, yes, right? Successfully navigated, right? No fight needed. But yeah, you can learn to adapt to each other over time, right? And that happens quite a bit, right? Your love styles merge or they just evolve and change. All right, a little bit more about falling in love. I mentioned this last time. There's a lot of chemistry involved in falling in love with somebody, an incredible amount. And I think understanding the chemistry can sometimes help a little bit, because we have these ebbs and flows that happen in relationships. And some of it is very much due to the neurotransmitters and hormones that are coursing through our system. When we meet someone and we're falling in love with them or we're infatuated with them in the beginning, we have a lot of like norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, phenylethylamine or PEA. We have a bunch of things that are coursing through our system that create that physical feeling of being in love, that physical and mental like obsession and feelings that come with it, right? When we get that butterflies in the stomach and our palms sweat when we're around somebody that we're interested in, heart is racing faster, they're all we can think about, you're obsessed with them. All of those things are very directly related to these different neurotransmitters and hormones. And as I mentioned last time, they can taper off a little bit after about 3 to 7 months. And sometimes people misinterpret that as like, oh, have that chemistry anymore. Well, maybe your body has leveled off a little bit. And now you have to figure out a way to either go to the next step or find ways to like reignite some of these things as well. And you can obviously do a little bit of both. So I have a little video that introduces these, and then I'll come back to the slide and we'll go through it a little more. But this person in this video here, probably if they're camping in my head, they better bring s'mores. Right? There better be s'mores there, right? If they really love me, they'd bring s'mores. But a little bit more about these, right? All of the things play, like I said, play a pretty big role, right? And you can feel them when you're kind of infatuated with somebody or obsessed with somebody. So if we go through each one of these just a little bit more, norepinephrine is a neurotransmitter, right? Its hormonal equivalent would be adrenaline. And with norepinephrine, this is in charge of things like sweating, right? Your palms kind of being sweaty, like you get nervous, right? When you're around somebody that you are kind of interested in, you tend to be a little more nervous, palm sweat, you get a dry mouth, you get something called butterflies in the stomach, right? Butterflies in the stomach, just as a side note, and I'll go back, is a really it's like a fluttery feeling that you get in your stomach, right? And so we call it butterflies, like they're fluttering around. But what it is actually, kind of to take the romance out of it a little bit here, it is actually the rerouting of all of the blood in your digestive system, right, in order to face a threat or to deal with a stressor. And so as the blood pulls away from the walls of the stomach and like the intestines and so on, it creates this weird like fluttery feeling that we get, that we call butterflies in the stomach. So it's actually very related to the sympathetic nervous system as it gears us up to fight a threat or to deal with a stressor or an emotion that we're having. So it's a very like automatic response that we get as the blood is rerouted to give you that energy, right? So just as a side note, yeah, it's just pulled away, right? And so the sympathetic nervous system is in charge of fight or flight. Right. So anytime we have an emotional reaction, that nervous system kicks into gear. So whether you're afraid or anxious or in love or happy or sad or whatever, it's activated. And so what it does is it activates this part of your body. It mobilizes all of your resources. It's almost like it's pulling everything and being ready to go to either fight something off or run away from it, or freeze is the other one that we sometimes talk about. And so it's not so much that it goes anywhere as much as it's just ready to be used should you need that energy and all of those resources for something like a threat. Stereotypically, it's more like you need to fight off something in order to survive, right? But it's more that it just pulls away in case you're going to need that blood and energy for something bigger. Okay? So it takes a little bit of the romance out of it, but that's what it is. That's what that butterflies in the stomach feeling, that's what it comes from. So adrenaline and norepinephrine is in charge of that, like your heart pounding, sweating, dry mouth, all of those kind of physical elements that are happening when you're infatuated with someone. Dopamine, right, as she mentioned in there, focused attention and desperation, right? When you're focused attention on something, it has a lot to do with desire and pleasure, right? We have a very rich like dopamine reward circuit in the brain. And so it gives you feelings of like euphoria and energy, focused attention, right? That's all you can think about. You're trying to, like acquire that person or earn that person's affection, right? So you're very focused on that individual. Serotonin plays a big role in obsession, right? When you are falling in love with someone, right? Serotonin plays a role in things like depression and anxiety and all sorts of other things, right? But serotonin here, it causes feelings of craving. When you're falling in love with someone, you're obsessed with them. You think about them all the time. You crave their presence. You want to be near them, right? And serotonin is really the big culprit for that, of kind of causing you to want them and think about them more. Phenylethylamine or PEA for short, because it's way easier to say, is actually found in a lot of different substances, things like chocolate and different foods. The idea behind things like aphrodisiacs comes from this substance of phenylethylamine that exists in our system. It's almost like a master neurotransmitter, if you will, right? It releases other things and kind of controls some of the other ones above it. Oxytocin, we've mentioned before, this is a hormone, right? The cuddle hormone. It's released when we cuddle or have physical contact with another person, also during childbirth and orgasm, but it causes you to have feelings of connectedness to another person, which is why we call it the cuddle hormone. So you get a lot of oxytocin, and it can produce like a little bit of a rush feeling when you're close to somebody or near someone. Endorphins, the same way, they're like our body's natural high, natural painkillers, natural like mood boosters. And so what happens is all of these things are being released in a massive amount at the beginning of a relationship. Again, about 3 months. And that's all your body can handle before it starts to taper off. After about 3 months or so, these things will stop being produced. You develop almost like a tolerance to them, and they fade. And people interpret that fading as a loss of like, oh, I'm no longer interested in them. I don't feel the same way anymore. Okay, physically you might not, but you have to then decide, do I still care about this person and like them? Do I want to try and keep these things? Or do you move on? And that's why some people tend to only have relationships that last like 3 to 7 months. They get obsessed with that like rush that they get, and then they misinterpret the lack of those feelings as falling out of love or out of interest with that other person. Now, great time of the year, as I mentioned for this, you can create rushes of these things through a bunch of different ways. So it's not like after 3 months of a relationship, you're never going to feel these things again. You just need to find ways to boost them, right? And a couple of things, roller coasters are a really good one because it gives you that fear and that rush of adrenaline when you go on a roller coaster, right? You get that like feeling of being alive. Like, so if you do things like roller coasters, scary movies where you get that jump and you're afraid, right now, like things like Halloween Horror Nights or like what, Reign of Terror, right? All sorts of things like that where you're scared, but in a fun way. It creates that rush, right? And so oftentimes on a first date, if you want to make these things show up in a more pronounced way, do something like that, right? Like a scary movie or like something that causes you to have like that rush of adrenaline. Now that person obviously has to be into that. If they hate to be scared and you take them to Halloween Horror Nights, then it's probably not going to go well. But if they're into that, and so are you, that can create these things in a higher level right off the bat. And it can create that bond a little bit faster. Or you can do them later in a relationship to keep that rush there, or kind of reinvigorate some of these neurotransmitters that might fade over time. So I think just understanding that these things do fade, and there tend to be hallmarks like 3 to 7 months and 3 years. Those are big points in relationships where people often break up because of chemical stuff. And then also expectations, right? After 3 years, it's like, well, we either go to the next step or we don't, right? And there's often expectations with that, which was in the movie, right? Which we'll talk about in a little bit too. And I do have a little assignment that I'm going to give you with this. There's a song that I think you have a chance to like connect these two really well, but I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But any other questions or thoughts or comments or anything here? You're planning dates in the next like few weeks, right? Like take them somewhere scary movie. I want to watch the new Halloween movie. Has anyone seen it yet? I've heard it's bad, but I'll watch it anyway. I don't care. Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't say it's better than Kills.
Oh, Kills was awful. Yeah.
It's not. It's if they made it longer and
Yeah.
actually tried, I gave it.
Actually tried.
I mean, like there's like the effort.
Yeah.
It was grabbing or
Mhm.
terrifying one time, but like it's kind of like
Yeah.
it was the same feel that Kills, but it's a little shorter and just.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard universally.
It's like people die and it's like, wow, that's really impressive. Whoa.
The second one was so gory. It was almost hard to. It was like
Yeah.
obsessively, like way over the top
It
gory.
is that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah.
You seen Terrified 2?
No. I'm sorry. What? What is it called? No. Okay. Is there a one?
There is a one.
Okay.
It's just
Okay,
I think it's really scary. It's actually kind of funny.
all right,
It's really gory.
okay.
You enjoy it.
All right, I'll write it down, right? All right. I love scary movies. This is the best time of the year for scary movies, right? I'm dying to watch the new one, but I've heard nothing but that. So my expectations are low. That's a good place to start. All right. So a couple other things, falling in love, related to attraction, and then one more slide after this about relationship satisfaction. Couple of things that we've consistently noticed play a role in who we're attracted to and who we're drawn to, right, in relationships. And whether it lasts or not is another story, but who we're drawn to and who we tend to maybe start relationships with. We tend to be more drawn to people that we are close to, that we have proximity to. This makes so much sense, right? You're going to be more likely to enter into a relationship with somebody that you see or interact with on a normal basis than somebody who's far away and you never see it. Right? It's almost obvious, right? Like if you interact with somebody and they're physically around and close or have proximity to you, you might be more likely to develop a close relationship, right? So very strong correlation there. Reciprocity is another big one. Reciprocity means things are balanced, they're equal. Somebody gives and somebody takes and back and forth. Relationships tend to be better when they are balanced. Doesn't have to be balanced all the time. There might be times where one partner gives more and the other partner takes more, right? And then later they switch. But if you've ever had a friendship or a relationship where somebody just takes and takes and takes and takes, it doesn't tend to be all that successful. At some point you get bitter or upset about it, or it just doesn't work, right? If you're always giving and giving and giving, even if you like that, at some point that tends to be problematic. So when you have a balance, right? When you have someone who gives and someone who takes, and there's that reciprocity, you tend to be more successful. We also tend to do better with people who are more similar, right? So even though like Paula Abdul might say that opposites attract, they might attract, but they don't stay together, right? You have to be somewhat similar. You don't have to be the same. Like one of my favorite things in the world is football. My partner hates football, hates it. I turn it on and the eye rolls come from all of my children and my partner. Like everybody's like, oh God, football, here we go again, right? And they have to deal with it for months, whatever, right? It's my thing. She doesn't have to like everything that I like, but if we don't have enough similarity, it's going to be problematic, right? If you really like to be outdoors and go camping and do things out in nature, and your partner hates all those things, it could be a problem. If you're super religious and your partner is not, could be a problem, right? Not always, but oftentimes people who are similar to us in their beliefs and their interests, we tend to do better. And you could be complementary, but you don't have to be the same. You don't want like a carbon copy of yourself, right? But you do want somebody who has somewhat of a similar interest or background. And then people that we find attractive, right? When you find somebody to be attractive, that tends to be an important factor in relationships. And thankfully, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So we all have our own standards of what's attractive. But when you have that chemistry that also goes with the similarity and some of the other things, you tend to do better, right? So these are just 4 things that have been shown to correlate with kind of falling in love and attraction in relationships. One last thing here, some characteristics of kind of higher quality relationships that last, we could say. You have good communication, right? We talked about that in the last chapter. When you can learn to communicate with each other, you tend to do better. And this can take time, right? Over time, you learn each other's styles, you learn to communicate, but communicating is important. Companionship, seeing your partner as your best friend. When you enjoy hanging out with your partner and doing things with them, right? And you see them as your friend, that tends to go a long way. One thing that goes with that is this: maintain frequent positive interactions. That's one of the highest predictors of relationships lasting. That you have positive interactions with each other, right? Life can be stressful and difficult, but if you have fun and positive interactions with each other constantly, even if they're small, right? That tends to be kind of like a maintaining or resilient factor. Having realistic expectations, having shared interests, being able to face and deal with conflict, sexual expression and variety, right? All of these things tend to be hallmarks of relationships that last and that work. Right. And again, you don't have to have all of them, but the more of them that you have, the more likely you tend to be to have a relationship that lasts and persists. Finding ways to do things with a partner, right? Things that you enjoy, things that are positive, that make you laugh, that make you have fun. It releases those neurotransmitters and hormones that we just talked about. and it can be, again, kind of a strong protective factor. Now, I forget how I saw this as an ad once, but I found something that was talking about kind of relationships. It was a interesting little video, and I'm going to play it for you because I think it's kind of funny, and it's something we can talk about more too and you can tell the people in there who are really disappointed. Like a couple of them look really put out that like, oh, come on, right? Like now I'm gonna have to turn off my phone. But I mean, it is, right? They said we could be in the same bed and not talk for hours, right? That's so true, right? And I've learned sometimes that my partner needs like an hour of like TikTok to like decompress at the end of the day. And if I want to like have her attention, I have to go watch the TikToks with her. That's like my only option. And so, and like sometimes I'll sit there and I'll play on my phone and do like fantasy football stuff. And then after like 20 minutes, I'm like, I miss you. I'm gonna go watch TikTok, right? And I don't even care about TikTok, but now I do, because she's always on it, right? That's her like obsession with her phone. And if I want to be part of that, I can, or I can leave her alone, right? And let her have that time. And so many people like are obsessed, right? We spend a lot of time on technology, and it can also be a connector too, right? There'll be times when like our in-laws are there, my parents or her parents, and we'll text back and forth and like laugh at the things like privately texting. And in that case, it's bringing us together. But technology can sometimes be a barrier, right? It can help and it can hurt. And we could talk about that a little bit more with the movie, but I thought that was kind of funny, right? Turn off to turn on. It can definitely be something that I think relates to what we're talking about. Are there any other questions or comments or thoughts here before we take a few minutes? I want to talk about the movie worksheet and the movie that I assigned you to watch. Anything else here? How many of you have seen the movie before? I don't know what this movie at this point. A couple of you. I think this movie does a really good job of kind of bringing together chapters 3 and 7. And then I assigned you 8 and 9 to kind of look over on your own, related to childhood and adult sexuality. But I just want to go through this and talk about a few of the questions on here, not everything, but I do think it's kind of a fun opportunity to think about some of the stuff that we're covering. So I want to start with the second question here. This movie talks about a lot of rules for dating. And now we didn't cover dating in here as much as it's in chapter 9 that I assigned to you, but dating obviously being a big like part of forming a relationship and meeting other people. What do you think about these rules? Anyone write anything down? Are there rules anymore? Like I haven't dated in a long time, so I don't know, but I have a lot of people in my life who are dating. What did you write down? Any thoughts here? Yeah.
Rules as a
Yeah.
number pretty wild. I think they were definitely like, I noticed they were like more individualized, saying like, oh, this is like almost like you can kind of tell what they're looking for, even if they're expecting something or just like, so I thought that was interesting. But like the rules in general, I think they're just like kind of like, it seemed like it was like a very personal thing that we kind of had different.
Has their own rules, right?
Yeah. And so obviously like huge, and as you saw throughout the movie.
Yeah, and a big one that they bring up, and you mentioned it, right? Who called who and how long and when, right? I don't know, any thoughts on that or reaction on that?
That they mentioned that it's like if a guy gives a girl his phone number, that's bad.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the girl giving the guy, I mean, from my experience, I found it doesn't matter
Sure.
which way.
Right, okay, so in your experience, right, in your mind, it doesn't matter. Does anyone else think it does matter who gives someone a phone number? I think that's changed a little bit, right? This movie was made 2009, so 13 years ago. I think a lot has changed in 13 years in terms of like, so I mean, they mentioned what like MySpace in there, which isn't even a thing anymore. But so are we saying it doesn't really matter who gives a number and who calls who and how long you have to wait? You say that's true? Yeah,
That's really,
yeah.
like realistically.
And are you even gonna call anyway? Right? If you're gonna text, you're like,
Yeah.
no,
Wait.
I never
Like,
pick up my phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
calls people, like who calls a person who does
I get scared when someone's calling.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me.
Yeah.
Leave a message.
Yeah. Leave a message and I'll see what it is and then I'll call you. Maybe.
I'll
Or
text you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like calling people and imagining it's more. more than no one back then.
Yeah.
Now it's just easier to message them, just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just.
Or text them. Yeah, you have a thought?
I think it just matters what you do now.
Mhm.
Like, you know, there's local business stuff like non this person.
Yeah.
doing it. There's like a bunch of different social media posts.
Mhm.
So, you know, I don't think it matters who gets who gets.
Okay.
It's like what things that you got that it's going to be by.
Yeah, and even on the first day, right, or second day plus, I had to exchange information, and I purposefully said it, whatever information you're comfortable sharing. Because for some people, your phone number is like, oh, I don't give that to people, right? But I'll give you my like social media information, who cares? And my email, I can have it, anyone can have it. Right? And so everyone might have a different, like, what did I give you? What did I not give you? But I mean, I know for me, and I'm obviously older than like most of you, right? I don't call people like ever. And when people call me, I'm like, oh God, what's wrong? Like something, my first thought of something is wrong. Like my aunt called the other day and was like, oh my God, what's wrong? Something happened. Right? Like that's my first thought. I'm like, why did you call me? Even then I didn't pick it up, right? Like it was awful. And I told you on the first day that I never pick up my phone. Right? Like if you email me, I will email you back quickly. If you call me, I might get it eventually. Like I never check my phone. I'm not even sure I know how to check the phone in my office. I know how to check. I just don't ever, right? Like I don't like to call people. Like I speak to like doctors on the phone. That's it, right? Or my mom. Right? I love my mom because she doesn't know how to text. She's like, I'll send you an airmail later. Like a what? Yeah, airmail, right? Oh, awful, right? So I think that that's a really interesting one that has changed a lot, right? Like who calls who? A lot of people don't call anymore, right? It's not as much of a thing as it used to be to call people. This is my favorite one though. What about dinner? Right? Okay, you go out to dinner on a date. Okay. Who pays for dinner? Right? Oh, you have a thought. Yeah, like
Whoever asked to go on the date,
okay.
like someone asked me, they're paid.
Okay.
They should. Unless there's like a mutual agreement, like we'll share.
Yes.
Split it. Or like it's just a friendship, so we can leave for a second.
Okay.
That's like basic.
Okay, so whoever initiated the date, whoever asked out, they should pay. Other thoughts on that? Does everyone agree with that? Yeah.
I think there's like a 2-month courtship where the guy would mostly pay.
Uh-huh.
And then once you get him, it's kind of like, you want to get the confidence stuff.
Okay. So after you hit a certain point of time, then maybe it becomes a little more even. Okay. Does anyone have the thought that like the guy should pay on a date? Like, is that something that anyone, you're like, yep, yeah. Do you have that? Do you have a thought on that? Okay. Okay. So for you, right, a couple of you nodding, right? Like you're saying, yeah, did you have a thought on that too? Or do you think that as well? Or
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the way like I saw my dad growing up.
Yeah.
Always paid for my mom.
Mhm.
Spoiled my mom.
Yeah.
So in my head it's like, okay, well, like,
Mhm.
why am I not gonna do that?
Okay.
If I'm asking meals, like, why
Yeah.
can't I be like, okay,
Okay. So because of the way you were raised and what you saw with your dad doing in your mind, right? That's what you should do. Yeah. Okay. Offer to pay. Okay.
We could split it.
Uh-huh. I like that, right? Okay. So we got very different things. I think you were next and then we have a few more. Yeah.
Whoever I am.
Sure.
I just want to pay.
Okay.
It's usually unsafe. Like my partner asks, that we shouldn't.
Okay.
That's not that. It's just kind of about, it's partly what I've been like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
How I was raised, but it's just how I.
Sure.
It's usually, I just.
Okay.
It's not sensible.
All right. Okay. Yeah. How about for you?
Oh, like when dating, there's been times like, you want to like split it, but then if he's like, yeah, then it's like, it's over.
Okay. It's just a little bit of a trap there. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Setting ourselves up for some interesting end of the day. I love these moments, by the way. Whenever we go out to eat, I'm always watching couples like, what's what happens in there. I love when the bill comes. It's like the most awkward moment of the day, right?
And he like bought like so much wine. He was just really drink and not the end. He's like, sure.
Mhm. So for you, that was a big like, that's not okay, right? Like a red flag for you. Okay. Yeah.
oh, you're buying tickets for the movie, and I'm like, I'll get snacks.
Yeah.
With me, like,
That
"Oh,
feels
you're
fair.
right, you could get this meal, but I'll get the next one.
Okay,
I mean, we're very similar age.
yeah.
I mean, we're the same exact age, so we're getting very similar incomes and
Yeah.
stuff.
So let's keep it even in a
Yeah.
way. Okay. It's interesting though, just listening to the comments we've had, right? Can you see how this can be problematic on a date? I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have had that moment. Like I've had that moment. I'm always the like, I'm paying for it. I asked you out. I'm paying for it, right? Like that was always just my like mentality. But if you have somebody who's like, well, the guy always pays, and the other person is like, well, no, we should keep it even, or like you were saying, like we should split, like it can create these awkward, difficult moments when you're dating. Yeah.
In like my long-term relationship, it's a lot different when we are both in college. Saying,
Yeah.
we both don't have a lot of money, so whoever has more money in their account at the time.
Yeah.
I have nothing, I'm broke, so you can pay for this, and then people be like, hey, like, you get this time, and yeah, it's just back and forth, whoever has more money to pay.
Fair. And we can make it even more complicated. What if there is no guy? I mean, what if it's two women? Or what if there are two guys? Two guys, you can both fight it out, right? I don't, right? It makes it, there's even less clarity if you have two women or two men on a date, right? Yeah.
Can I ask you who gave the first date?
Oh, me, because I asked her out, right? And I was like, I will happily pay for it, right? Like she came out with me. Oh yeah, I'll pay for it, right? Clearly it worked. Fine. What was that? I proposed to her, right? I'm the guy in our relationship, right? Like, not that it has to be that way, but like I said, I go by dad. I'm husband. So, where was it? What was that? The whole story. Oh, we were going to college up in Humboldt where we met. We got our first apartment, and on the day that we moved into our apartment, like I proposed to her in the apartment, and I had like gotten all this. I got a cake. It was presumptuous of me, but I knew she was gonna say yes, right? That sounded presumptuous too, but we had been together a while, like we had talked about it. It wasn't like it came out of nowhere. But yeah, in our apartment, I had thought about doing it somewhere that we could visit later, but I didn't want to be out in public, right? Like, so yeah, it turned out okay. Right? For the most part. But it makes it super complicated, right? Like, so for us, because I asked her out, in my mind, like when the check came, she was like, oh, here, I can like, do you want to split it? I was like, no, I got it. Right. And it was a quick conversation. And for some people, it can be very fast. You navigate through it fine. Other people, it can be a deal breaker, right? And it can be like, oh, well, now I know how you are in life, right? My brother, I'll tell you one more story and then we'll move on. My poor brother, he's 22, one of my brothers, he's quite a bit younger than me. He went out on a date with a girl last week. And he called me and he's like, who should I have? Like, do I pay for it? I'm like, well, did you ask her out or did she ask you out? He's like, I asked her out and I'm going to take her to McDonald's. And I was like, Nikki, no. He's like, I love McDonald's. And I'm like, but does she like McDonald's? And he's like, I don't know, but that's what I like. And I'm like, oh God, this isn't going to go well. He's all like, sky's the limit on the dollar. Ended up not happening, right? But then we had this whole like conversation and he's all like, yeah, I don't know, but I'm going to take her to McDonald's. That way I can afford whatever she wants. I'm like, all right, if she likes McDonald's, that works. Like, whatever, right? But that's my brother. He's always been that way, right? So it's these conversations, these awkward rules for dating, and they're constantly changing, right? And interesting, 10 years from now, they might be totally different again. How about the third one, or I'm sorry, the fourth question? At what point do you think that Ben is cheating on his wife? And this is, again, something that might be different for everyone, but at what point do you think he was cheating? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He started off strong. Okay. Okay. So for you, and it sounds like you would agree, right? The second that he called her back, how many of you would agree with that? Like for you, if that's your line. Okay, because you could tell he was interested, right? There was something there. Anyone have a different line? Yeah. Okay. I would totally agree with you. For me, but I'm possessive, right? I just told you, I think one of my most styles is possessive. Right, so the moment that he was flirting, I would say that was one of
Yeah, for sure. It's like into her, he's flirting with her, he's leaving the option open. Then he's like, oh wait, I have a wife, but I don't know. Yeah, he was already like totally. He didn't.
Right, he was already starting to invest in me, right?
Yeah.
Other people, yeah.
I think absolutely. Like,
Which, say that one more time, I didn't hear you.
I think maybe when he let her
Okay,
specifically that, because like he had to rationalize it to his friend in the car. Like,
True.
I'm allowed to talk to other women. Like that's physical. That's flirting.
Okay.
You know?
okay. Anybody have like a line that's much farther? I mean, all of those, like, so we have talking on the phone, hugging, flirting. Yeah, did you have a different one?
I don't think it was cheating to like the full she was like naked and
Yeah,
he knew what he was getting to that.
okay. Okay, so for you, the pool scene was the like, okay, we have crossed the line, right? Okay, yeah,
It was a serious kind of scheme and way to get the phone answer.
okay,
That's happening a lot.
okay. All right, yeah,
I think there's two different lines that you cross. One was like, I have the intention to cheat on my wife.
sure.
And then the other one was, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody in here, just out of curiosity, was anybody, not till he actually like had sex with her? Or it sounds like all of you were before then, right? Just curious, right? Yeah,
But my thing said it was when he showed up at like her class.
Okay.
And like, went
Yeah.
That.
go
You see
find
it.
yours. Uh-huh.
Trying to play it off as like, oh, it just happened over here.
Oh, look, I found your class, right? Yeah, okay, interesting. So I just shared with you, I'm super possessive, like my partner has crushes on TikTok and I hate these people. It's like, they'll come up and I'm like, oh God, her. And it's all these like nasty ones people. And I'm like, can you just unfollow them? And it's like, and like every time they come on, she's all like, look at it's on my phone. I'm like, stop it, right? But she finds it cute, so like we're fine, right? I'm possessive, she's possessive, it works, right? But if you have the same line for cheating, it works. But what if one of you is all like, oh, I'm fine with everything that you did up to like the pool scene, right? Or when the other person's like, oh no, you looked at her and flirted with her, that's cheating. Tends to be a problem, right? Like if one partner is really possessive and jealous, and the other partner likes to flirt and be super friendly with everybody, that can cause problems in the relationship. So when you're on the same page, it tends to be better. But it's just something interesting to think about. Like I tend to think of when he was flirting with her in the store, like for me, because I have a very like, my line is very far in that direction. It's just interesting to think about, you know, at what point do you define cheating? Might be different for everybody. Yeah.
I mean, like the mentality. Like you can already tell he's so disconnected and he's quiet and he's like, oh yeah, like I just married her because like she gave me ultimate stuff. So just like for me, yeah, definitely the moment is like just for
Sure. Yeah. I think it's just interesting to think about, right? Again, like everybody having their own spot up. How did you feel about the fact that that Neil proposes in the end, right? That they go to get married. Did you feel like that was good? That was bad? Did you have any thoughts about the whole like we need to be married? The idea of like marriage being something that like has to happen or not happen? Yeah.
I was like, like he doesn't want to marry her.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking the bad guy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then like this very much this time, it seems more like genuine, just didn't think there was like
Yeah.
necessary. And then at the end, like she was able to like kind of stand her like step back from the marriage and be like, oh, I'm not married. I just want to be with you.
Yeah.
So, I'll be the
Yeah. It's kind of seen as like you backed off, I'll back off, like kind of meeting in the middle in a way, right? Versus sometimes people are like, he caved and it made me so mad, right? I've had people get like angry over it right before. Yeah, like he should have held his ground, right? And it's interesting, the idea of marriage, you know, I mean, people have mixed feelings about getting married, right? Making it like legal and official versus just being together. I think that's just kind of an interesting theme. Like you have people who married for the sake of marrying and somebody who doesn't want to marry because they don't believe in it, but they have probably the strongest relationship of everyone like in the show. So just a kind of an interesting thing. Was that a?
Oh, I thought it was like the podcast of like
Yeah, Ben and his wife was like, they were married, and
Yeah.
stuff, he was like terrible, but like, wait, no, I'm getting names. mixed up.
I know, there's so many
Yeah,
people in
whatever,
there,
And
yeah.
then they got, they don't get, still. Like, still there, you know, a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, I think yeah, marriage is important to really think that, but it's not necessarily needed to show up for your.
Yeah, right. And I think that's the interesting thing to think about, right? Just because you're not married doesn't mean that you don't have a great relationship, right? But then there is that pressure, right? There's almost that formula you follow, right? Like if you've been together long enough, you got to get married. If you're married long enough, you're supposed to have kids, right? Not everybody follows these formulas. Not a lot of people don't have kids now, right? That's more and more popular. A lot of people don't get married, or they get married multiple times, right? That's more common too. Yeah.
So I forced my partner to watch this with me.
Nice.
And I thought it was super interesting, because at that point, he was like, she's right. Definitely whatever guy who's playing him. He was like, yeah, like, why is she thinking that?
Uh-huh.
And I was, no, we,
Mhm.
and it was interesting, because it was like, he was like on the guy's side and like kind of saw his perspective more, and I saw hers more, and throughout the movie, I noticed that would happen a lot, where he was like, oh yeah, what the guy's saying, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then I'd be like, no, it doesn't.
Mhm.
So I just thought that was really interesting, kind of see it like, you know, this play out. See,
Yeah.
you know, that like this question were being asked, so it's sitting there.
Yeah, that's interesting that came up. Like, I like it, right?
Yeah.
Most awkward Home Depot moment ever, right? Like we might have that conversation in Home Depot. I always think about that every time I go to Home Depot, right? Like, I don't know, just picture a couple in an aisle next door, like fighting. They talk about the idea of a spark, right? We just talked about all of these things, right? Back a few slides ago, right? We talked about falling in love in the chemistry, right? That is the spark that a lot of people talk about that can fade over time. Just, I think some really interesting themes in this movie that connect to the ideas of dating and marriage and communication and all of these rules that, again, like they're so individual, right? And everybody has their own rules, their own lines, their own preferences. And so when people tend to be similar, when we tend to have people who are similar to us, we tend to do a little bit better, right? Then when we're on opposite ends of the spectrum, it can be a little bit of a problem. Not always, but it can be. So I'll collect those in a minute. I have a couple of things I just want to go over really quickly. If you're looking at the syllabus, we have some stuff coming up, and I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Speaking of being on the same page, right? I want to make sure that we're all feeling okay about it. So I mentioned last class, if you weren't here last class, I mentioned we're hiring a new psych person. And it looks like it's going to interfere with one day of our class. Thankfully, it's only one. It's two of my other class. So thankfully for us, it's only one, but it's this coming Monday. Okay, so I know that's awful timing because I missed all of last week, but at least we had this whole week like normal. So I'm going to write this stuff up here on Monday. I almost wrote 12/24, Christmas Eve right now. Right. On Monday. So we're not going to have class. And so on Monday, the topic that we're supposed to cover is chapter 10. And so I have a lecture video that I made for chapter 10 that I'm going to post for you to do. On Wednesday is our second exam, and it's a flex day. There's no campus class. So that has nothing to do with us, but Wednesday there's no class across the campus. So what's going to happen on Monday is it will be a chapter 10 lecture video. And I'll post this on the announcements on Canvas. I'm also going to give you a brief homework assignment. I think it's kind of a fun one personally, but what you're going to do, and this will pop up on Canvas later today, bring this up, but I'm going to have you listen to the song. I just completely forgot what it was called. Your Love Is My Drug, Kesha's song. And I think it's a really cool opportunity to connect the different chemistry of love components that we talked about. You're going to look for components in the song that match up to the neurotransmitters that we covered today. So there'll be a little song and homework, and you're going to turn that in on Canvas. And again, that will pop up on Canvas a little later today. And then Wednesday, and 26, is exam number 2. Which is awesome. So I will be here. I have classes all day. I get to sit through Title IX sexual misconduct training. I know you're jealous. Right? It's always somewhat interesting because there's always at least two people who are like, that's not sexual harassment, and it's hilariously. But on Wednesday, you'll take exam number 2. And so on the plus side, I know there's been some interruption, but you get to use your notes, you get to use your book. A lot of you did so well on the first exam. This is the same format. Actually, I think this one is easier because there's no anatomy to label. Okay, so in my opinion, this is the easiest of the 3 exams. So I think that's great for this. Yeah.
Since the new sinus thing this morning, and
Yes.
the song left the way you like.
I know, I just was putting a placeholder. It's gonna be the catcher one, right? So, it was I have to change it, because we're one earlier. But you'll see it pop up on Canvas, and there's a link to turn it in on Canvas. And then Wednesday, that exam will open up, remember, at 12:01 a.m. And it'll close at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so if you're on our site, remember that if you go to modules, see if it logged me out. Nope. Here's the study guide right here. Okay, so the study guide for the exam is right here. If it's on the study guide, it will be on the test. If it's not on the study guide, you don't need to know it. So this one is on chapter 11, 7 and 3, which we covered the last few days, 8 and 9, and then 10, which you're covering on Monday. Okay, so I'm going to open all these things early. If you'd like to work on them earlier, that's fine. But the assignment will be due by Monday night, and the exam is due on Wednesday. So I know that's a lot. I'll send out an announcement just to remind you of all of that, or you could take a picture. But I'm sorry for the interruption. We're hiring a new psych person. That'll be great for our department. We only have 3 full-time psych people, and we should have like 5. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So I'll be sitting through interviews and meetings. I'd much rather be here with all of you talking about sex. That's way more fun. But we're to work with what we have. So again, next week it'll be a little talking. Wednesday, there's no campus class, like campus what? Okay, so it should be that you have no class that whole day. So anytime that day you can take the exam. And then Monday, you'll just complete that lecture. It's probably about like 30-40 minutes of me lecturing on chapter 10 instead of doing it here in person. And then I'll give you that homework with the song. So it'll pop up later. The song title will be right. It just last semester, number 7 ended up being that song, but we're not there yet. We'll listen to that one later in the semester when we get to domestic violence, right? All right. Something to look forward to, Eminem and domestic violence, right? So are there any questions about any of that? Are you feeling okay about all of that? Sorry for the interruption on Monday. It's kind of out of my hands. And it falls with bad timing that we don't have class Wednesday, but I can't do anything. So if you have questions, if you're confused, email me. I'll send out an announcement with all of that again, but I just wanted to cover it with you in person. Feeling okay about all that? Okay. And then when we come back, when I see you next, it'll be Halloween. Again, I hope you dress up, right? Wear something festive at least, or I don't know, right? I'll bring you candy or something fun that day. And we'll go from there. Any questions? Are we feeling okay about everything? Am I good? Okay. When you leave today, make sure you give me your movie worksheet. If you didn't bring it, email it to me before the end of the day. And I have those extra copies if you want another love key.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, thanks.